With 2024 behind us and Bitcoin having a bit of a pullback and a lot of the market being red over the last few weeks, a lot of people are wondering if we are actually going to have a bull run or if we're ever going to get an alt season. In today's video, I'm going to cover when I think the alt season is going to start here, when I think things could really take off, and what's going to happen potentially over 2025. So hit that like button and let's jump into it. All right, today we're going to jump into Bitcoin and the crypto market, the altcoin market, what's going on over the last few months with crypto, what I think is going to happen here over the next 2 to 3 months with crypto, and if we're going to get an alt season soon or not, and whether or not I think we're going to get a newer all-time high with Bitcoin in 2025, and whether we're even close to the top of the bull run or not, because a lot of people are thinking that potentially the bull run could end here over the next couple months. So let's take a look at it here. So currently the total crypto market cap is only 3.5 trillion. Now, I think last bull run, it peaked out around 3.2 trillion, if I remember correctly. So we have surpassed that amount, but we're not really that much higher than what we were last cycle. I think we got up to like 3.9 trillion for the total crypto market cap at one point when Bitcoin was at like 108,000. We've had a bit of a pullback on it now. Bitcoin's sitting around $95,000 as of this recording. Ethereum only at, just under 3,400. So Ethereum's really been suffering this cycle. A lot of people are wondering if Ethereum is dead now, and if Ethereum's ever going to make a new all-time high or not. We're going to take a look at some different things in this video, so let's jump into it here. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. You can see over the last, since November 24th, we moved up here, made a new all-time high with 108,000 or so, and we've been pulling back ever since. And now I think a cool-off was due after moving up like this, and I think it's normal. I think we could potentially have a bit of a further pullback with Bitcoin here and have the Bitcoin dominance cooling off. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance here in just a second, but I want to show you some things on the chart here that are kind of what I think could be happening here. Now, in December and mainly in November, we had a huge move up. In October and November, we had huge moves up, and we had a cool off in December. But let's look at the Bitcoin chart for last cycle. We moved up at the end of 2020 and into January 2021. Then we had a bit of a cool off, and then we started taking off from there, and we kept making new all-time highs with cool offs along the way. So these cool offs are pretty normal, nothing too unusual about them. And then in April, we had this big pullback from about 65,000 all the way down to 46,000 something, almost like around 47,000. So it's a big cool off. You can see these big cool offs here. These are pretty big moves from Bitcoin, 58,000 all the way down to 42,000. So a lot of people panic when these moves happen. The moves haven't been that dramatic in crypto this time around, at least with Bitcoin, because we've got the ETFs into play, so we might not get quite as big of corrections on Bitcoin this time around, but 20 to 30% corrections would not be out of the norm for Bitcoin. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go. But once we hit May of 2021, then we really had a big crash all the way down to 29,000. So you can see that that was a big move for Bitcoin, all the way up from 65,000 all the way down to 29,000. So huge move. We could maybe see something where we get a 30 to 40% correction on Bitcoin towards the middle of this year, in the summer dump is what they call it. We'll see if that happens or not, but I'm expecting us to kind of have a little bit of a pullback here into like into January, have a little bit of a pullback, and then maybe we start making a new all-time high in February and March, and then maybe we start cooling off again into April, May. So we'll see what happens, but we're gonna take a look at Bitcoin dominance here. So Bitcoin dominance got all the way up to almost 62%, like 61.5%. Then it dumped down to 54%, and now we're coming back up, and we got rejected off from the 60% level. Now we're coming back down again. We really need to get down to probably below 50% with Bitcoin before we're going to see a true alt season. If we take a look at last cycle, we'll just kind of zoom over here and take a look at last cycle. This would have been September of 2019 into 2020, and then towards the end of 2020 we started taking off and made a new all-time high with Bitcoin dominance, and then into early 2021 is when we really started cooling off into February and March, and then into March and April were really dumped with the Bitcoin dominance. This was when Bitcoin dominance really started dropping, and we had a major alt season right towards the end of March and into April with all the altcoins that went absolutely crazy. So I'm hoping something like this happens again with the alt season. We start seeing some big dumps on Bitcoin dominance, and a lot of that money flows into the altcoins. Hopefully that happens this cycle, but we could start seeing something like that happen, and hopefully we'll get down into, you know, under 50 and under 40% with the Bitcoin dominance and get an alt season here. That's what I'm hoping will happen by, you know, starting to see this happen hopefully by March, but we'll see what happens here. I really think it's going to happen, you know, kind of what happens with the government decisions on, you know, crypto regulation. If they do any kind of positive crypto regulation, that could help with this. If the Fed starts cutting interest rates again, that could help with this again. We're going to take a look at the Bitcoin return history chart here. So if we take a look at that, you know, we had a red month for December, which is the first time ever after a Bitcoin halving year that we've had a red December. So, but we did pump up 37% with Bitcoin in November, so a little bit of a pullback in December, nothing too terrible. We're in the positive for January from December, so we'll see what happens here in January. But I was expecting a green December, but we were a little bit in the red. If we take a look at 2020, this would have been 4 years ago after the halving. We had 27% in October, almost 43% in November, and almost 47% in December. So huge moves in the last cycle in 2020. But you got to remember, in 2024, we had a lot of you know, green months early on in the year. We had a 43% move in February, and then 16% in March, because this was when the Bitcoin ETFs was getting approved. So we had some big moves earlier in the year, and that could be why we didn't see such as dramatic of moves towards the end of the year, because we already pumped up a lot. So, you know, we went from around 60,000 all the way up to 108,000. That was some pretty big moves in the market. You got to remember that as well. So one of the indicators I take a look at for this is the Pi cycle top indicator. Typically, if we're anywhere near the top of the cycle, these two indicators here, these two moving averages, will usually touch during the bull run when we're at the peak. They're not even close to that at all. And they may not actually touch this cycle because usually in previous cycles they completely cross each other for a little bit, and then they kind of spread apart again. If we take a look at the last cycle here, basically they just barely touched when we were at the peak of the cycle here, and then they spread apart. They never really crossed last cycle. That was the Pi cycle top. So this time around they might not actually touch, but I would still expect that they would get closer together than what they did here back in March of this year when we had that little mini bull run. So you can see March is typically kind of an alt season for crypto. Take a look at 2021 and 2024. Those were really bullish months for alts in crypto. A lot of people are thinking we won't get an alt season because we don't really have a lot of quantitative easing, but we did have a little bit of an alt season this March, a lot better than what we've had so far towards the end of 2024 and into 2025. Pretty decent alt season in March, and we didn't have any quantitative easing. Interest rates were high and everything back then. So even though, you know, I think we'll get a stronger alt season, and now the interest rates are starting to come down a little bit, even with the Fed talking about potentially only doing 2 rate cuts in 2025. I think we're still going to get a decent alt season, and if they cut even further, we could see a really good alt season, especially with the Trump administration being pro-crypto and putting a lot of pro-crypto people in the government positions like the SEC and those. And hopefully we get pro-crypto regulation where it makes it easier for exchanges to operate in the U.S., where they don't have to worry about being charged with, you know, a lawsuit or anything from the SEC, hopefully going forward. So another thing I want to take a look at here is USDT dominance. You can see it was really high at 9.5%, starting to come back down into March of 2024. That's when we had that alt season again. When USDT dominance drops, that's when we get an alt season. It's risen up here, and now it's starting to drop again. So I would expect once we get back down on these, you know, 3.5 to 2% levels, we should get a really good alt season. USDT dominance basically means that it's taking up more of the market share because people are sitting in stable coins. When people start buying other crypto with their stable coins, you're going to see the USDT dominance drop because there's less USDT in the market is how that works. People are still sitting on their stable coins and they haven't bought yet. So this is a good sign that we still have room to go for an alt season with the USDT dominance. So like back in 2021 here, if we go back to 2021, basically here at the beginning of 2021, it was climbing all through 2020, and then in 2021, you know, that's when the USDT dominance dropped a little bit, and we had a huge alt season here. We're much higher up here now. So there's a lot more stable coins right now than we had during the last cycle. If you look at the total crypto market cap, there's a higher crypto market cap, and we have a higher USDT dominance. So there's a lot of people still sitting in stable coins out there that haven't bought in yet. So that shows you that there is a potential, if we drop down into this level here, that we could really get a huge alt season. So hopefully that happens. So we'll take a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart here. You can see these blue lines are basically the halving, and if usually after the halving we get a move up into the red area. In each cycle it's kind of cooled off a little bit. We got away in the dark red here. We came out of the top of the dark red in this chart, got into the dark red here. In last cycle we just got into the light red or dark orange, whatever you want to call it, kind of like the light red. And then this cycle I'm expecting we'll probably get into the orange or the darker orange here in the middle, maybe not up into the red area, but we'll see. And this is with Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin rainbow chart, but I'm thinking this is kind of looking like similar to 2019, where we had this little pump up here, and then we had a cool off, and then we took off into the bull run. I think it's something similar is happening here. We came up, had a little bit of a cool off, and now we're going to take off in the bull run. And I'm thinking this little notch here is going to be similar to like this notch right here at the beginning of 2021. Then we'll make another leg up higher and then dump in the summer. That's if we get a double top. We may not get a double top at all. We may go sideways, for most of 2025, and then maybe we get a blow off top at the end of 2025, get an alt season then, and then the bull run will end. It's really difficult to say because every cycle is a little bit different. If you look at the previous cycles, we had blow off tops towards the end of the year. End of 2017 and into early 2018, we had a blow off top, but we climbed all the way up throughout 2017. So maybe we'll climb all the way up through 2025, get a blow off top, and then end the bull run. Don't know really what's going to happen. I'm just hoping that we keep going up and that we get an alt season and we get some really good gains is my hope. Whether it happens in early 2025 or the end of 2025 or throughout 2025, we don't know, but I'm thinking an alt season will still come because all the signs out there are still showing us that we haven't had the bull run, where we're close to the top of a bull run yet. Things are still moving on their way up in the direction of a bull run, but from what we can see out there, it hasn't happened yet. So that's good news that we just got to hang in there tight and see what happens. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video, guys, to kind of give you my idea. I'm hoping we get an alt season here into March and maybe into April, and then maybe we'll get a summer dump and we'll take off towards the end of the year again. But right now my strategy is if we do take off into March and April and we have a decent alt season, I'm going to be heavily taking out profits and putting them into stable coins, getting my funds out of the market just in case we do not get a double top this time around and things cool off and that's the end of the bull run. But I'll still have some skin in the game. I'm not going to cash out all of my coins, of course, maybe 50 to 75% of them, leave 25% in, and then I also have other coins coming in monthly and daily from my nodes that I've purchased throughout 2024 and some of the ICO and early investments that I've invested in throughout 2023 and 2024. Those will be paying out coins throughout 2025. So I'll still have those to cash out if we keep going up towards the end of 2025. So I can still play it safe and still have a lot of skin in the game for this bull run if that happens. But everyone has a different strategy and everybody needs to have some kind of strategy for taking profits this bull run. Don't wait for any crazy numbers to take out your profits, because if you wait for a specific price point, like if you think XRP is getting to $5 or $7 and you don't take out any profits until those price targets and they don't quite hit them, then you didn't take out any profits and you're sitting, and then we get the bear market because we're going to crash at some point, and then you're going to be sitting on those coins for another 4 years or selling them at a loss potentially. So just be careful out there and make smart decisions the best you can. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video, guys. Hope you liked it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section below and what you think is going to happen over the next few months with crypto. If you think we're going to take off from here, or if you think the bull run's over, or if you think that we're just getting started. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments and what your theory is for your top of the cycle and when you think it's going to happen this cycle, because a lot of people have different opinions. Some think it's going to end in April, some think it's going to end in October, some think November, December, some think it'll happen in 2026. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments section below what you think is going to happen. And that's all I've got for this video. Hit the like button and we'll see you on the next one.